Hello and welcome to another Culture Foolishness. This is episode 6, and this episode is the social media age. Is it a blessing or a curse? And we have thoughts. I know I do. I am Creed of Exodus Studios, architectsmars.com, and my co-host is.
Coach Tamara Simone, your favorite life coach's favorite life coach. If you don't know, now you know.
And there it is. So, this is when you suggested this as the topic, because we have a lot of topics in the clip, and we were actually debating doing a different one from this episode, and of course the coach came through in the clutch as per usual and reminded me of this subject that we already had in our episode notes. But yeah, this is really poignant for right now, especially with the pending shutdown of TikTok US and how that's gonna affect people, because let's be clear, it's pros and cons to anything in life, obviously, and social media is no different, and there's pros and cons to it. But a lot of people, have created livelihoods from it. So it's definitely a pro in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. And I am not on TikTok. Judge your play cousin. I am not on TikTok because I got on everything and I'm just tired. Um and it just felt like another platform that I was gonna have to go on and build a following and do all the things, and I'm good on that. And plus, I've heard so many people just kind of talk about how they'll just get lost in TikTok for hours on end, just on a rabbit hole. And I don't. That's just not where I'm at with it. I don't want anything that's just going to pull my time like that, even
Hmm.
if it is informative. Because just because it's informative doesn't mean it's intentional, and I'm in a
Mm,
place where I want to be more intentional with what and where I give my attention to.
that's very wise, and also a big part of this conversation, because I mean the whole thing of social media is trying to get your attention. It's trying to keep your attention in this app so they can advertise to you, so they can do all these different things. Because, when Instagram first came out, before it got bought by Meta, they wasn't even Meta yet.
With Facebook.
Right. But or let me say, the app was, I feel it was more pure before the purchase, in terms of it was literally an app so people could share pictures with their friends, and the the commercial aspect happened organically because
Yes.
people just start figuring out, like, oh, I got all these eyes on me, let me try to sell something or try to direct them to something else, because you couldn't even do links barely in Facebook. I mean, not Facebook, Instagram at first. So it evolved into what it is now, to where it's so, it's crazy when you think about, you could go, depending on how long you've been on there, if you delete a lot of stuff or archive or whatever, you could trace back years and years of your life through
Mm-hmm.
this app, which for the person is kind of cool. But if you think about it from a standpoint of, wow, this company got access to a big chunk of things that have happened in my life for years and years, and they
For
show be
free, might I add.
selling data, and that's the whole premise of the way they make money outside of advertising.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Um, yeah. So, I mean, and another thing about Instagram, as it started to gain more traction and everything like that, it allowed I think it starts to gain more traction when like celebrities were getting on Instagram
Yep.
because it gave their fans the opportunity to kind of get get insight on who they were, what made them tick, what they liked, what they didn't like, without them doing press, without them doing,
Hmm.
having to talk to reporters and be asked questions they didn't want to necessarily talk, things they didn't necessarily want to address or discuss. It gave the fans a chance to kind of see them more so than just being on this just untouchable level up here.
Hmm.
Um, and as fans, then we like that. And then, throughout the years, this shift came where it's like, oh man, it's dope that, such and such is doing this and giving us this insight to who they are. So now it becoming an expectation, and then it becoming like the nerve of you not giving me every detail of your life so that I can judge it and demean you and troll you because
Hmm.
of it.
Yeah, that's
And
the crazy thing is like this started at this as this cool thing, like, oh wow, you got like direct access almost to well, not even
mhm,
almost, you literally did have direct access because they see what you're posting. If they want to interact with you, it's up to them. And a lot of times, still to this day, like I be on, certain people, that might have like, good 10,000 more followers or even less sometimes, depending on what the content is. It may sound really clever and it might be aimed at a person, or they tag them or whatever, and you go to the comments and that person in the comments saying something, and that's super dope, like to get
yeah.
a direct, interaction with somebody that you admire or something like that. Like I know, and I don't have a ton of these, but my favorite rapper is Currency, and I had posted a clip and I was using a song of his in the clip and he commented on the picture, and sometimes and this was a while ago, sometimes I just go back and be like, Currency, really? He said something about something I did. That's crazy. Like,
And for us good old 80s babies,
hmm.
like the reason why that's a thing is because back in the day, if you wanted interaction with your favorite rapper in any capacity, you had to either go to their concert, or if they
In
came to your
store,
city and did a meet and greet, or
hmm,
the very rare
just
instance where
seeing
you may
them,
have just ran into them somewhere, which again
hmm,
was extremely rare.
right, unless you live in
So
LA.
talking about for us being little kids running wild in
Right.
the streets of Chicago.
Right. It definitely, unless it was a local
Unless you was
act
Twister,
or
Crucial Conflict,
common,
Common.
yeah, because I saw, although I never,
I
okay,
never
no,
saw
no, no,
Common
no,
in Chicago.
no, no. I was about to say I never, but I did
No,
see
you
him.
did. Yeah,
I saw him at
I
some
haven't.
stores and I saw him randomly at like an event, but Crucial Conflict definitely saw them on Chicago Avenue driving a Caprice. Uh,
Yeah, Twister used to be out there on the Southwest, or out Western. But
yeah.
um, anyway, so yeah, but now in this new age, the new social media age, all you got to do is hop on the gram and either comment under your favorite rapper, actor, social media personality. We'll get into that too, under their page and under a post that they make, or DM them or whatever, and you have access. And that's why I feel like this generation takes that for granted to a degree,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
the access is much easier. Like, yeah, you may not be able to like see them and take a picture with them unless you see them in person, but I'm saying like just the fact that there's some type of interaction is
Hmm.
just not something that our generation is used to.
Right.
Um, at least not going into the age of social media.
Right. And
And yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I mean, anybody they're excited. They not taking it for granted in the sense of like, cause they still. understand that that person isn't going to respond to barely nobody or whatever. So when they do, and it just happen to be them, they, know
No, for
that, but at the
sure.
same time, they operate off there is a chance of this interaction where we literally didn't have any type of access to even
Or
think that
just
it could happen like that.
like now, like, these this generation that, like, say it's somebody who's a music producer or something like that, and they want to send Timbaland some beats. Like, they'll be, I mean, and again, it's a high probability Tim ain't gonna respond to any and everybody and all things. But back in the day, that same producer, you couldn't just go click a few buttons and attach some files and do, no.
No.
You, like, it was a process,
Right. And
and you still ain't get to
right.
them.
And I mean,
Like,
even in the sense of even that, they probably still not gonna get to them, but you got at least point something percent versus zero.
mm-hmm.
Because before it was zero. So at least you got that because every once in a blue moon, one of them just let me see what these guys been sending me and just click something and be like, oh, or
or
oh.
yeah, or just like, okay, so perfect example, the singer Ella May.
Hmm.
Ella May, she, for people who don't know, she used to do YouTube covers. So she
Mm.
would cover a lot of artist songs and she would do it on YouTube. That's how DJ Mustard discovered her.
Mm.
20
That's
years
dope.
ago, super dope. But 20 years ago, to get discovered, you had to be out here at these open mics. You had to be doing
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. Like, you had to have a buzz to a degree
Hmm.
or whatever. You had to be somebody's background singer. Like you couldn't just be in your room doing cover. And again, no, I'm not saying that to denigrate her grind because it was
Oh,
absolutely a grind. It was just a different kind of
it's
grind.
just different. And that's the thing. It's like now, because of social media, and this is the pro of it, it just connects us to everybody instantly.
Globally.
Like
Globally,
the
instantly. Yeah.
the the record business outside of even trying to sell records, but just the machine that they are and were
Mm-hmm.
can't even exist the same way because of how social media is. Like, I don't need you to distribute or do anything because if I just make a dope product and put it in front of people, then they gonna respond to it, and that's proof of concept right there.
It's very much
So
so more direct to consumer.
very
Like, it's
much
not
more
this
direct to consumer.
it's it's not this thing to where you have some A&R or someone who, they're not even in touch for real. And not saying that that was always the case, but like a lot of times, you hear stories of, such and such didn't like XYZ song and I fought like hell to put it out and then it won 3 Grammys. Like,
Hmm.
you don't really have that now because now you can put it out and then the people will talk for you.
I think it crosses so many different things. Like, I was just watching the trailer to the new Daredevil show that's coming out, which I watched the one that was on Netflix. That got canceled almost 7 years ago, maybe like crazy. It's been a
Mm-hmm.
long time. And when they're bringing back the entire cast of the old show
Mm-hmm.
to Disney Plus. Now, the reason why I brought that up is the reason why that's possible is social media. They hear every day. You better have Charlie Cox as Daredevil. You better have because I ain't even gonna watch it. This is still like even on a bad side of it, the same side of that same Marvel coin. The reason why Black Panther got kind of off track of what it was supposed to be based on. Obviously, it's a great shame. We do not. I hate that Chadwick Boseman died. He was amazing, but he did. T'Challa did not die. He's a
Mm-hmm.
fictional character, just like Superman, just like Batman. These are very strong concepts that need to exist for people. I think personally I would name it two of the most iconic ones is Superman and Batman. I feel like Black Panther needed to exist even more than those two, just from a standpoint of black boys don't get to see us in the light of being a king, having this, having all these different things. We needed that. And to have one movie, the actor die, the actor didn't want that to happen. Then
Mhm.
all that happens. But Marvel's hearing from, if you make another Black Panther and don't and recast him, then I'm a boycott it and blah blah blah. They
And let's be
listening
clear, they
to
wasn't
not
gonna boycott.
number one, number two, and that's the
No,
negative
you ain't
because
met no Frank Sinatra.
you get these opinions, and it's easier to sway a big company to do something that maybe is not even in their best interest. Marvel was trying to backtrack that. They done made a whole ass movie, and now they like, oh, we got a multiverse. We gonna get another. So now we gonna get it. Why did you do that then? You
And that plays a part because you can't take these Twitter fingers lightly. We
Mhm.
know that all too well. R. Kelly is in jail because of a hashtag. It started from a
Oh,
hashtag.
Bill Cosby went to jail because that act that Hannibal Buress did got put online and went viral. It back in the day, and okay, then we could speak to this even more so. You think people haven't been making jokes about Bill Cosby on some funny shit? Probably since a long ass time ago. But it wasn't no social media. It wasn't all these things to like, oh, I got a professional quality camera in my pocket at all times. I'm gonna just record this. That wasn't always the case. People been talking about these type of things. And just like
Absolutely.
with R.
They've been
Kelly,
making jokes about R. Kelly for
it's
decades.
but again, when everything happened in the 90s and even in the early 2000s before everything got to the point where we are now with it, it was easier for it to kind of fizzle out, and
Hmm.
then a person could kind of keep like even
Well, because you know what it is because there was only one type of media, and it was mass media.
and that's
So
filtered and
if they,
censored and
right,
everything.
and if they wanted it to fizzle out, they fizzled it out. But social media is of the people. And if we don't want it to
It
fizzle
ain't
out,
going
then it's
no
not.
damn
And
where.
here's the thing, you can't ignore the numbers. So if it, like, you can try to manipulate it all you want to, but at the same time you've also created these algorithms that are going based off of the numbers, and they can
Yeah.
only ignore it so much because you can see behind the scenes what the analytics show.
Well, I feel like what you're saying is correct. However, I feel like they absolutely can try to shift the algorithm in different directions outside of what, like, perfect example. We know everything that's been going on in the Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
Palestine, like all these different things. Nothing stopped. All these things are continuously going. Like they
Yeah.
have not stopped fighting. Russia and the Ukraine has been fighting for years at this point. Okay, they don't barely talk about that shit on the news. They didn't shift. They didn't put so many things out in the algorithm to distract people from these type of things.
Yes.
So that's the manipulation that you speaking of. They just do it different because before they could just be like, "Oh, this mass media, I don't want to talk about this. We not talking about this." But since, like you said, social media is controlled by us, they have to distract us away from the subjects to shift the algorithm, and they do that very well.
They do it well until they can't. And a perfect example of that is George Floyd.
Yes.
You put everybody in the house because we was on lockdown. People are
Mm-hmm.
sitting around idle, and
Mm-hmm.
then we see a 9-minute video that is like one of the most traumatic things that you'll ever, kind of watch.
Mm-hmm.
And you got hundreds of thousands, millions of people who didn't lost their job. I no longer have anything to lose. And I'm mad and I have all this energy because I have nothing to do.
That was like one of them things where all these things lined up perfectly at the same
Yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah, for sure. It was
Because
definitely like a
I feel
tipping point that
like,
occurred.
say, some of the other people that got killed over the years, and it was them instead of him, but it was the exact same circumstances, it might
Oh
have
yeah.
been the same exact energy because, again, all the other
It was
things you said
mhm.
is very true. Nobody had nothing to do. Like I watched that thing so many times, like we was sitting at home. And then
Mhm.
you getting pissed about it because you like, what the fuck? Like this in the pandemic, y'all choking people up, like what the fuck? It was crazy.
So definitely that. Um and so I would say the positive side to it, as we, kind of talked about, is the connectivity that we have, the voice to the otherwise voiceless, and that impact that has, because good things have come up, of course, but when we talk about the negatives that come out of this age of social media, I got quite a few of those because for us to now be more connected than we've ever been, we have no social skills. Okay, correction, they don't, because I'm still pretty cool. Because we 80s babies, so we was
Yeah.
in it when that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
The 80s babies, the dudes, they remember having to physically go up to a chick and try to holler. And if you get rejected, you get rejected. And you might do it in front of their homegirls too.
Mm.
Like, different
I
generation raised different. Now all they want to do is slide in the DM or hit you up on a dating app. It has to be a for sure thing. So I think
That's
dating has
why
changed.
dudes
I
that's
think
older be pulling they age and younger and everything because we still know how to talk. We
how
at
to
the
talk,
club
flirt.
look at the little young dude like if you don't go talk to the talk to, we
And
at
you're
the
like,
bar like
but
do
what
it,
if she
do it.
say no?
And
What if
then
she says
like
no? What
you
if she don't
watching it
like
so
me?
long, you like anyway, let me go talk to it in. Shoot. And then end up pulling up. Cause you know how to
It,
talk still.
I mean, it just, communication overall, because like outside of social media, we have text messages, like we have these smartphones. So the
It just
communication
made
that
people stop communicating the right
it
way.
made people stop verbally communicating. It made people become very recluse to a degree. You're super
Yeah,
connected to everybody, but yet most people feel lonelier than they ever have before
yeah,
because
yeah.
you know that the connection is not necessarily authentic, and the connection is also very conditional. It's based on how
Hmm.
hot you are, how hot you not, or what you say, or whatever clout you got going on, or whatever you can say that will grasp the attention. It's not authentic, and so that can put you in a dark place because now you have to, not have to, but people feel like you have to become a version of yourself that's not real just in order to be something in a place that doesn't even exist for real.
Right. It's not real. Everything that happened in that virtual social media realm is concocted. Everybody made up personas and all that stuff. It's crazy because people have become so, and even the people that were born in the 80s
Oh yeah,
and
for
early
sure.
90s and all the stuff, we are the pioneers of using all of this technology. We done been through every phase of it. So we consuming it and it's damaging the way we interact the same way the younger people. It's not as
Yeah. The
severe.
only difference is that we haven't had it since birth.
Right.
Like when
That's
you
why
look
I
at
said
like
it's
when you
not
look
as
at
severe.
kids that
Like,
are like on their iPads at the age of like 2, and like they literally like don't know how to function without it because like that's just, and their parents are just like, here, if I give you this, you're gonna shut up and leave me alone for a little bit. So that dynamic doesn't exist with us.
and we tried,
But
and you want to be like, oh well, that's bad, but the TV was the same thing for us, and that's what our parents used. But it every phase of society going to use a technology that's the easiest to,
Hmm.
do whatever they need to do. And that's now is iPads and iPhones
YouTube
and
and
YouTube and all these different things. So it's good for sure. Cause again, to expound on more of the positives, like a person can literally start up a business
mhm,
from nothing virtually and become a millionaire if
and
they're
I'm
savvy
self-made.
enough
Yeah.
and don't even have to fully leave their crib all the time to do a lot of the functions. It's so many dope things about it. Even from an online dating perspective, like people are the positive is a pro and a con to that as well, but go with the pro. The pro is you can connect with people that you will have never had an opportunity maybe meeting or whatever. They're not in your friend circle and all the different ways that we used to meet only back in the day. You getting more access to more people, but then on the flip side,
The
it
flip
makes
side,
people
you
have,
getting more access to more people.
but you
Is
all
that's a that's a
that's a
double-headed coin.
double headed exactly because I was going right back to that because it's like while that's positive to a degree, because yes, you could possibly meet a more suitable person for you. It also, when stuff don't be working, you have this false, oh, I got so many options because I guilty of this too. I mean, although I was going off the vibe of the other person, but they was probably guilty of the thing that I'm saying and why they was reacting the way they was reacting. Because if I like somebody, I'm gonna try to lock in and see what's up. Other people,
And
if
it's
they
like,
like
was this
somebody, hold
person
on. If they like somebody, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you cool," but I'm still in this stimulation everywhere thing where I'm getting so many things bombarded. So they might go cold or they might act a certain way. And, I don't have patience no more like I did when I was younger. Now I'd be like, well, you act a certain way. I don't care. But what you was about to say?
I was gonna say similarly, like, so was it that this person wasn't suited for you, or was it that you had so many distractions that you couldn't nurture the connection to see if they could really be one of them ones, but you too distracted by your DMs to nurture what's over here.
Absolutely. You could be that. Now, I know for me, and being from the past generations as far as like 80s babies, early 90s babies, whatever, I was able to be like, oh wow, this is a dope situation. I'm gonna go ahead and lock in and kind of decrease those other distractions. But I'm also going to feed off the energy of the other person. I'm not just about to be like sweating somebody and I'm already peeping like, oh, your energy is kind of off towards me and you showing different things. That's going to social media. Follow somebody, they post a certain thing. They could be talking about anything. They could be talking about you. You don't know, but I know that you
Yeah,
was
all
acting
that.
a certain way and now you post this, so I'm assuming it's this. So all these things didn't exist back in the day. It was easier for you to be able to lock in with somebody because even if they was on some bullshit, you couldn't see everything it was doing or even get an inkling of it. So
And for me, I took a different approach because, like, if when I was in those dating streets, if when I met somebody and I was like feeling the vibe and feel like I would easily lock in. Like I would cut off the distractions because for me, I'm like, it's so many options. If they start acting silly, I'm just gonna pick back up, or I'm just
and that's the
gonna.
thing. That's the thing.
So it wasn't that I would allow the distractions to like prevent me from locking in. It was that I'll lock in, and then if it don't work, then it's all this over here. So I didn't have much motivation to make it work.
And so it goes back to the same thing. Even if you are in the moment, like, all right, well, I'm just on this situation. Act funny though. And your patience and your tolerance is much lower. And we gotta be real. We're humans. People ain't perfect. Back in the day, person can have a bad couple days or be weird for a second, and the person is just locked in. They don't got all these plethora of the world of options. They just hung in there for a second.
Well,
The
correction, they don't
person,
think they have it because just because these people don't land on me, you got it.
oh, absolutely. Oh, that's the real part. Thank you for adding that in. But for the person, they just like, oh yeah, you do whatever, you just dealing with it. And then them people be the ones that end up married for years because they actually went through the motions of
Hmm.
letting but now people don't even give a chance to that.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. We made everybody so disposable.
hmm
We
yeah,
we made it real Nino Brown. Cancel them.
hmm
I'll buy another one. You ain't got no money. You ain't got no money.
am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? Um,
No. So, not only as when we talk about dating in the social media age, but like, let's talk about like mental health.
mm,
And like, one thing I will say on a positive note is that I attribute social media to us being more in tune and open to discussing mental health, because before that it was kind of taboo. It was like, oh, if you go to therapy, you crazy and blah 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 blah. Um,
especially in the black community. I think it's
yes, for sure.
therapy has become a lot more accepted in the black community because of social media. So that is very
Right,
positive.
right. And the influence of celebrities who have just been candid about it. And, they just, they talk about it and how necessary and needed it is. Um, and, that vulnerability that you see. And then it makes you feel like, okay, like, and some people are literally just doing it because they feel like, oh, this is just a thing to do. But like for those who are serious, then it allowed a safe space to be like, you know what? It's okay if I have a therapist. Like it's okay
Hmm
if I feel the need to talk to a professional about some of the traumas that I've experienced in my life that I haven't processed and moved on from. Um, so it's interesting that social media has become so impactful in the mental health community, while also being the cause of why so many people have mental health issues to begin with,
Well, the saying
or one of the
that is
causes.
very true is comparison is the thief of joy. And that's what social media makes a lot of people do all day is compare themselves to other people. And we all
Even if
guilty
you don't,
of it
right, even
in
if it's
different ways
unintentional,
too.
right,
Cause
even if
like,
it's unintentional, then it's definitely happening for sure
right,
in
because
some capacity.
I'm an artist, and if I'm looking at different posts with art posts and all this stuff, why I'm not as good as them, or why I'm not this. Now, somebody that ain't me looking at my stuff and saying why I'm not as good as them and blah blah. Like I'm not even. Of course, your worst critic is you, so you gonna look at somebody else's stuff and down your own stuff when somebody else think your stuff is dope. It's just
But like back in the
perception.
day, other people's stuff wasn't as accessible.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. You was comparing yourself to masters more
mhm,
because you had access to going to the library and looking at this and looking at that. And that was almost like, well, of course I'm not that, but I'm gonna keep trying and keep doing good and try, this isn't whatever. But when you see somebody that's your same age and all this stuff, and they at a place that's more advanced than you, that you feel that they are, that's different. It's different looking at the art of some dead person that been dead for hundreds of years that can't
mhm,
advance no more versus somebody that's literally you next to
mhm.
you, not you, but somebody that you could compare to you easily. They might have similar background, like all these different things. Like just, joke, it's a dude that's got my exact same name. He a year older than me. He black. He do basically the same stuff that I do art wise, all this stuff. But he's very successful. Now, I wouldn't even have known none of that if it wasn't for Google and social media and all these different things. And I saw it through social media first, and then I'm like,
Mhm.
wait, his name is my name. What is this? It's crazy. And I look it up and I'm just like, wow. And if I wasn't as mentally strong, that could make a person be like, oh wow, I'm not doing this, I'm not that, and la la la. A lot of people that aren't, that could make them feel a whole type of way that they can't even function after that.
For sure. For sure. And so like currently I am on a social media fast. I am just kind of taking a break from primarily Facebook and Instagram because those are the main two culprits that occupy a lot of my time and space and all those things. And so I haven't done a fast in a while, but I felt the need to because I remember what it was like when I've done them in the past. And so with this all this extra time that I have that I'm not scrolling on one of those two apps, I'm reading more. I am just being more intentional about just being organized and just strategizing and all the things. But then, like, even outside of the productivity part of it, overall, I'm not constantly scrolling and unintentionally comparing myself to what I see. I'm not the happiest about my weight. So scrolling, and even if I'm seeing people that's like, oh, people who are taking Ozempic or people who are doing X, Y, and Z, or I don't know what they're doing, but they post some before and after pictures and they was this and that is this. And I'm just like, and look at, and then I'm subconsciously feeling bad about myself and where I'm at, even if I'm in the process of trying because I'm not there. Or even
Mm,
outside of that, I mean, like I think about I'm on LinkedIn more than a lot of people. It's almost like a social media thing from. I mean, it is that, but it's more so for the career space. But
mm,
when you're on LinkedIn and you are seeing people that are in either a similar educational background or work background, but they are in better positions than you, it makes you think like, what am I doing wrong? Who do they know that I don't know? And you have to decipher that everything is not how it seems. There's someone that I'm a connection with on LinkedIn, and they are in a way advanced position. And I used to work with them. Meanwhile, when I looked at their profile, half the stuff that they achievements that they said they accomplished was stuff I did that they just took from me and put on their LinkedIn. And the employer doesn't know that until they hire them. So it's like, unfortunately, their social media has become this place of comparison in many different facets. Like I said, career and this and then you see these people who are on the gram and they traveling and they doing X, Y, and Z, but are they really? Or did they go there like 6 months ago and they just posting everything late to make it seem like they still outside? Like, so it's hard to when you're in it, it's hard to really, decipher what's cap and what's not. And most of it
mm.
is. And it's like once you take a step back, then you can understand that. These people make it seem like they doing X, Y, and Z. No, my nigga, you was in traffic next to me just like you are every other day.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
social media, and Instagram in particular, is basically the highlight reels of everybody's life. You're not seeing anything negative for the most part. I mean, every once in a while, somebody might post something, if it's some type of
what
disastrous thing. Like, obviously, I'm in LA, it's the fires is going on right now. And yeah, people will post, oh, this happened, or whatever, and yeah, that's one of the few times that you'll see a negative thing on somebody's feed when it comes to themselves. But for the
that
most
depends
part,
also on who people follow. Because if you follow negativity, if everything that
mhm,
you like are feeding yourself on, because
mm,
you definitely like you have to weed that stuff out on. So, and some people just don't necessarily have the fortitude to do so. They just like, oh, the algorithm suggests you follow X, Y, and Z, and they just boop 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 boop. But something I learned too is that you even with social media in the realm of that, you are feeding yourself. You're feeding yourself
Mhm.
information, you're feeding yourself energy, and you can't. And I mean, some of it is inevitable. Like some of it is just gonna pop up, especially they Instagram gives you suggestions of what to so it's gonna pop up in some capacity, but you
But
can
for the most
definitely
parts,
limit it.
you limit it because what comes up on my feed for the most part is stuff about food, stuff because I'm a big back on low. Um,
Big back attack. Go ahead.
stuff about art
Hmm.
and stuff about technology, entrepreneurship, um things with women pop up a little bit, but way less than a lot of my friends. Like sometimes I'll be like, eye hustling, looking over their shoulder when they on their Instagram, and I'm just like, you follow every bad Instagram model? Like I follow like one or two maybe, and I didn't weed it, maybe one or two. Like I try to keep it on some productivity because that's what controls what you see. Like if you're liking a bunch of bullshit, that's what's they gonna show you. They be like, oh, that's you want to see some more bullshit. I got it. If you
It
want to see a whole
also
bunch of good shit, they're gonna show you that.
And when you are following things like that, it also alters your perception of reality.
Hmm.
Because if you're constantly seeing that, but then when you step out your house, then you seeing regular people with
Hmm.
regular stomachs and a little bit of stretch marks, like Kendrick has said. Now
Hmm.
you I don't want that because I follow 200 baddies who have none of that.
Hmm.
When in real life, 90% of them have that. They just got a real good Photoshop job.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Well, growing up is understanding that all that look shit is not really going to sustain anything, of any substance anyway. So you better, if you get somebody that you're attracted to and all that good stuff, and they happen to have, and well, no, they happen to be attractive and have all of the actual real qualities you need in a person, that's what you need to be going for. But again, this social media showing people all these different things, like how many men and women. Matter of fact, this
yeah.
is a good one. This lady basically broke up with her husband who was paid because she thought that Brad Pitt was trying to get with her because it was like somebody trolling with a bunch of fake AI images of him in a hospital and all this stuff, and this fool fell for it. And I'll just say the Lulu-ness is real because when I saw this lady, I was like, you realize this man was with Jennifer Aniston, then was like Angelina Jolie at me now, so I might have to go over here. This is what he on. If you ain't in that space, what are you thinking? Like you, come on. And the images look so fake, Tammy. I was like,
So, is it safe to say that social media may, in some capacity, create delusions of grandeur or
hell
just
yeah.
unrealistic? Okay, look, okay. I just asked a
Well, because
question.
people get all this attention, and a lot of it is just well wishing that they don't look at it as that. Like it's so many times, not to say it's like a bunch of unattractive people, but I'll just like you know what? This is a better way to say it because it's really not coming from a negative place at all. I don't know if you saw the post this has been floating around for a while with Rick Ross where he like, man, if my homies is doing anything or posting something, I don't even barely see what it is. I'm liking it. I'm just liking it. Like, that's my guy. Like it. I don't even need to see the whole thing. Send to go to it, like it. So sometimes it's that energy towards things where you just like, oh, based on the strength of this person, I'm just messing with this.
Yeah.
But you go back, and sometimes you find out they saying some stuff that you don't agree with or whatever. Because actually, that's what happened to Kendrick. When or no, with Snoop and Kendrick. So when that what was the joint Drake did where he had sampled Tupac and Snoop voice?
That AI thing,
Right.
I don't really know the name of it,
But
but
basically
okay.
he tagged Snoop in it when he posted it, and Snoop just like, oh, that's a little homie Drake, because that's Uncle Snoop. He ain't know all this bullshit was going on yet. He old. So for real, like you know, he cool as hell, but then nigga, oh, he a granddaddy for real. So he was like, oh, this is you.
Oh,
Okay,
all right.
hold on.
Go ahead, nephew.
And
Like,
then Kendrick see that he didn't like it, and then or he liked it, and then he's pissed because it's like you like the chairman of the
like,
West Coast. How you messing with
right.
this? He didn't even listen to it, and that's
Hmm.
the whole thing. Like sometimes,
But then there's a misconception with that too, because Kendrick is like, what's going on? And it's not what it seems. And so I would say that's just kind of the root of it. When it comes to social media, it's not what it seems more often
Mhm.
than not. And something else I want to touch on before we get up out of here is, like going back to the whole like comparison struggle, is
Mhm.
that even when you are looking at things that are, even when you are feeding yourself positivity, then you can still get caught up in the comparison trap, because like you mentioned the things that you are that you follow or whatever. And like for me, I mean, a good chunk, like I follow a lot of I follow like Christian led things or whatever like that, pages, like inspirational quotes and stuff like that. I mean, I do follow the Shade Room. That's more informative. They be reporting on everything, not just celebrity gossip. Um, but like outside of that, like I'm into trading, so I follow traders. I follow like financial literacy type things, um, and things like that. So I'm not really following a lot of riffraff, if you will. But I'm also looking like, dang, like, Sarah Jakes just preached a word, and like, man, like how does she move with this poise and this, that, and the third? And like, I need to be better, just a over more railroad. I don't need to be like her, but I just need to be better. So there's a comparison to that. Or like, so when you're seeing people, even when they're doing something positive, something in you, and not from a hating standpoint, but something in you could still just be like, man, this person just, saying just came with this or whatever like that, or they're walking in that purpose and I'm still not, where I feel like I should be, or
Well, you just
this
gotta
person
use it
did
as
this.
inspiration at that
Well,
point
it's
to
not that
get.
I don't. It's not that I don't, but it's also that I'm a type of person that I'm always looking at like ways or areas in which I can improve. So it's not that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not motivated by it, but I'm also looking like you could be better.
Mm-hmm.
And when I am not in that space, or when I'm not absorbing it on a regular basis, like as I'm in this fast, I've been telling people I'm in a place of bliss right now. I watch the news, but my local news. So I have an understanding of what's going on for the most part, but I don't know the extent that it is. Like I didn't know California was that bad until I talked to you. And it's really a thing where ignorance kind of is bliss. Like, and I don't mean to say it like I'm being ignorant, but like we get
Just
we
not
get thrown
knowing
so
every
much
single
information.
thing, yeah.
And how much of this do I need to know? That's the how much of it do we need to know?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be informed, but again, like every single thing, like yes, some things yes you do need to know
Yeah,
about.
some things like you should very much so educate yourself on this and be in the know. But some of it is just
Hmm.
like you just have a bunch of useless information in your head, and unless you're going on Jeopardy, what's the point?
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, just to guess to lead out with this, just to kind of speak to even cultural foolishness not coming out as frequently, especially this episode from the last one. Like, obviously, I'm in LA. the fires are going on. It's very um hard to focus on certain things when you literally the meme with that dog in the room with everything on fire around you like this is fine. So um it's hard, and then again with the social media aspect you getting like false information, real information. You even just taking out the social media aspect, just having technology in general, like we getting false, like we was getting false alarms for evacuations from
Mm.
like
Oh wow.
the like it's so many different things that's just got everybody out here kind of on edge, even if you're not necessarily in an evacuation zone or a fire zone. It's like we all, we live in the same area, so we all interconnected, even if it don't affect you directly, it affects somebody and places that you like to go might not be there. That or it's crazy, but you know. This social media thing is definitely pros and cons to it. And I hope it didn't seem like we were dwelling too much on the negative aspects because it's so many amazing things as far
Oh,
as
for
this
sure.
connectivity to people. I mean, I have friends in other countries that we met through social media that I live that have come to LA and I didn't got to hang out with them, and it was like super dope. Or being able to start my brand and reach people. I mean, I done sold stuff in Germany and stuff, like it's super dope to have that connectivity and also have the ability to have an idea, have a dream, and just being like, yo, I'm going for it. I got it's people that can see it. I'm gonna just put the best shit out there and make sure my stuff get off. And you got way more control over this stuff than we did back in the past. So it's a lot of
Yeah,
dope things about
it's definitely easier to, like to be informed.
it.
And I know I talk about, I just talked about like how, sometimes it's an information overload, but sometimes it's also like
Stuff you need to know.
it's something you need to know. And rather than having to, get dressed and go truck it up to the library if they're open and, sift through books and maybe find what you're looking for after God knows how long, you can just get your Google on and pretty much just, what I'm saying, get what you need and go on about your business. Or, like
Well,
so
well,
it's definitely a positive in that respect. And I mean,
was
like I say what I say about the generation and but I can't imagine a life without it at this point.
Well, just to speak to the news aspect, to be able to get news from the source of where stuff is happening on the scene
Hmm.
by people who aren't biased by working for a company or being a reporter.
Hmm.
Like a lot of stuff we're hearing about Palestine, anything we hearing about anything happening overseas, it's because people got a phone and they got social media and they feeding that directly to the people, and you could see when mainstream media is lying or they on bullshit or not showing us certain
Absolutely.
things. So it's a lot of I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons TikTok is gonna be out of there because the power of it. They don't care the people in America making money off. They mad that we getting unfiltered information that they would love to filter and keep from us.
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
another positive of social media for us as people. But we could go on about this forever, and I definitely want to do a part two and have a
Hmm.
guest, speak on this a little bit more. But I think this is a good place to end this. What you think? You got anything to
I
add?
I I got nothing. I think we've covered a great deal.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging with us. This has been Culture Foolishness. I am Creed of Exodus Studios, architectsofmars.com, and my co-host is.
Coach Tamara Simone.
All right, and we are out. We will see you next week. Peace, peace.